What matters is that you keep moving forward in life in a healthy way, in a resilient way, knowing that inevitably you're going to hit bumps, you're going to have to dig deep, you're going to hit some low points, and it's all about learning about who you are and what you want in this ever-changing world, which is far too stress promoting in all levels these days. Welcome to August Sitting Down with Dr. Dan. Thank you all for listening to our Parent Footprint bonus episode every month and for sending us your great parenting questions through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our email podcast@drdanpeters.com. I'm joined with none other than our audio engineer and dad, Phil, today.
Hello, Dr.
Hello,
Dan.
Phil. How is it going?
Wow, it's going in that sort of way that the kids just went back to school today, and I'm wondering where the entire summer went. That's how it's going. It's a blur.
It's a blur.
I'm not saying it's going bad. It's great, but it's one of those moments where you are very cognizant of just how fast time passes by.
And the older we get, it goes faster and faster.
That's why
and faster.
We must strive to be present when at all possible.
Yes, this is true. Life happens in the moments,
in
people.
the moments, and sometimes in between them. So you got to keep a lookout.
Yes.
But we have a lot of great questions today. So let's jump in with our first question. We've had questions come to us via email as well as across social media. So our first question of the August episode goes as follows. As a non-parent, how can I support the kids in my life? I would love answers that can help us aunts and uncles to have healthy, fulfilling relationships with kids that are not ours, especially if we are child-free by choice.
This is such an amazing opportunity. Kids need non-parents to help guide them, right? This is the model of the community, the village, the kin network, raising kids, the neighbors, right? Like the communities where your kids are going to other people, other adults, other guides for support when they don't feel comfortable necessarily talking to parents, which, by the way, everyone, is totally normal. It's like we have this belief these days that we should be so close to our kids that they always feel comfortable coming to us for everything. Now, some parents and kids do have that relationship. Many do to a point, and then it stops, particularly around the pre-adolescent, adolescent plus years. Right? There are we have our role as parents, but then we need all of the other aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents and coaches and mentors and family friends, right? So this is an amazing opportunity, and I'm so glad you asked this question. Several things. One is being available. So just being available to these other kids in your family members, biological or non-biological, being available. I have and know many who have cousins and aunts and uncles who are not biological, but we all grew up together, and that's what we call each other, and it's so special. So presence, being available to them. Also, what you get to do is you get to have your wisdom and have your life experience, but you're not in charge of them. You don't have to set the same kind of rules, the same kind of parameters. You get to be, in a sense, a little more at times cooler and a more easygoing, right? Like the relationships that I have with my nieces and nephews is different than at times the relationship that I have with my own kids, and vice versa with my kids with their aunts and uncles. So it's so just know, by just you being present and just being yourself and being open is number one. And it can be where you're actually doing things with them out in the world. You're the one that you guys like going to nature together. You like going, you're foodies, so you like going to food places together. You're like music, you like theater. Going places and being together also sets up the opportunities for the conversations to take place where you are important to them. The other thing is never underestimate
Right.
how important you are because you're not going to be told that. And there's so many of the children, the teens. It's like
Yeah.
they think so much about you, and you just don't know it till much later, or you get a letter, or someone tells you about it. So I got more. I got more on my mind, but Phil, you're nodding your head. So good. I know you got stuff to say.
From the perspective of the parents, having another trusted adult or adult figure in the lives of our children can often offer
Mhm.
us a great sense of relief, because we do feel overwhelmed at times. We do feel like we are
Mhm.
carrying the entire world on our shoulders. And to be able to have that moment where you realize that, okay, well, Uncle Frank is in town today, and my son's they're gonna spend some time together, and I just know that Uncle Frank is a great listener, and there are things that my son will be able to share with him that he might not be comfortable sharing with me, and I don't have to worry so much about not being able to support my son in whatever he can't share with me, because Uncle Frank is there. And again, it's that it takes a village, and it feels great to know that you are not
Mhm.
100% on the
Mhm.
line at every moment. And that can be enormously relieving, just to know that you're getting a break and it's okay. And it's a genuine
Mhm.
break because it's with someone that you trust as well. So being on that side of it, being that trusted person, just like you
Mhm.
might not necessarily hear
Yep.
it from the kids, you may not necessarily hear it from the parents as well, because we're only human and we get wrapped up in everything like everyone else does. But just know
Mhm.
that we do feel that relief, and we do feel that appreciation, even if we're not voicing it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great point. Knowing that you have a team and other people caring for your kids, as much as you, it's it's hard to express that feeling of, like, I don't know, it's like security, and it's like someone else has got your back as well, and
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was also gonna say, um, because this question is about having healthy and fulfilling relationships. We don't need to be serious to also always have healthy and fulfilling
Hmm.
relationships. You get be fun, right?
Yeah.
It's great to be the fun one, to be the adventurous one, to be the one who does different things than
Hmm.
than your nieces and nephews get to do with their family. Like you get to be, if you wish, expansive to these kids, and also carve out your own special relationship
Yeah.
without, you don't need to try. It'll happen over time by your presence and the experiences that you share together.
Yeah, the experience is one that you share together, but then the experiences that you're bringing to the relationship, because those experiences will be different than the experiences of their parents and of their siblings, and that has impact. And that will, again, being expansive could be expansive in the activities that we're doing or in the perspectives that we're able to share. And as parents of teens, there's less return on the investment as far as the stories we share, and they don't always listen to us the same way, because it's, oh, dad, here goes dad again, being
Mhm.
very philosophical. But
Dad
if
splaining, dad
dad's
splaining.
explaining,
Yes,
but the information is often absorbed a little bit differently when it's
yes,
coming from a non-parent
yes,
adult.
yes, yes. So we need you. We need you, non-parents and non-parents by choice.
Yes, please, and thank you.
Yes.
Okay, moving along to the next question. Question number 2. How do I best support my student who wants to transfer colleges? How can we parents help make the process go as smoothly as possible?
This is happening. First, I want to normalize this. This is happening all the time. In our day and age, Phil, I know I'm a bit older than you, but in our day and age, it wasn't as common for people to transfer so regularly. And as time has gone on, it's become more and more regular. And now with post-COVID, I'll say it that way, post-COVID crisis, COVID, of course,
there
is
you go. Yeah.
probably here forever. Everyone's transferring. Like, okay, maybe not everyone. Lots of people.
Yeah.
Lots of people. And so I see it as opportunity. I also see it as young adults making choices for themselves, advocating for themselves, asserting themselves, not feeling trapped if something doesn't work out. And what I say from personal experience, having experienced this as a parent, is lean into it. Like, just lean right into it. Like, it's a great conversation. Okay, it's like, let's talk about it. So, what are you thinking? What are the reasons you want to transfer? Okay, what are you thinking you're looking for instead? Okay, have you thought about some places that you might want to look? Have you thought about taking a break? Do you want to have a different type of experience? Like, the other thing COVID has taught us is these timelines on the train that we're on to growing up are very they're constructs, they're social constructs, and no one cares down the road when you finished your degree, when you finished your vocational certification or whatever training, or when you enter the job force, or it doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep moving forward in life in a healthy way, in a resilient way, knowing that inevitably you're going to hit bumps, you're going to have to dig deep, you're going to hit some low points, and it's all about learning about who you are and what you want in this ever-changing world, which is far too stress promoting in all levels these days.
Yep. Yeah. Stress, deadline driven, time aware, but not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to slow down for a minute.
Yes.
And really examine your options.
Yes. Yes. I would say that it's really common for parents to see this as obviously stressful and as negative, and even as like, wait, what went wrong? Could we have guided this different? Like, in short, see it like as a failure, and it's not. It's a learning opportunity, and it's a growth opportunity, and it's an opportunity to experience something else. There is the true lore in my family is that, and my kids like love the stories where they hear from my dad. My dad went to, I think it was 5 different colleges before graduating.
Yeah. Wow.
Like 5. And, he's had his profession for over, 50 whatever years now. And it's just like the stories are amazing. It's like, yeah, then I went here and I did this. And then because of this, I went here and I did this. And I think this was before it was like a thing.
Right.
And so that has been really helpful in our family, that story of when our kids have decided to maybe do something different and take a left turn or a right turn. We're like, yeah, you know what? It's been done in the family before. So it really is about putting down the fear about this and seeing it as like, wow, what optimally, what is going to come out of this, and how do we go through a meaningful process, which is what you're asking about, how to do it. And I say how to do it is you go with it.
Yeah.
You do the research. If you've used a college counselor at your high school, or you've had your own college counselor, you reach out to them and you say, "Hey, we're looking at making a change," and they have a meeting. You can do this, of course, on your own. A lot of students are, especially with the internet these days, have done a lot of research on their own. And there's a that I've learned about more recently, a website called niche.com, and it ranks and gives grades and all the information on like every school you can think of kindergarten, like elementary, high school, college, like all the way through.
Wow.
And it breaks it down by different categories. You find out how much it costs. You find out what
Yeah.
people think about it. You find out about the professors. I mean, it's amazing. So I guess in short, lean in and see this as a growth opportunity where you can help empower your young adult and support them in the way that they're asking, which is important to ask, like how would you like us to help or support, and also making sure that they're growing through this process and feeling like they're it's something that they're leading instead of it's being done to them.
Yes. Yes. I will add that change is always scary.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be a very much a natural reaction for you to feel a bit of that change induced fear at the prospect of this transfer, because a lot of legwork does go into those initial college applications and that whole process of touring universities and selecting a school. And you may even have a moment where you feel like all that effort, all those schools we went to look at, what a waste of time that was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these are some thoughts that will be emotionally fueled. Surely, I know that when my gears get going, the thoughts are like little ping pong balls flying around
Mm-hmm.
my brain. And in those moments, the best way to help your child is pause and get that moment of perspective that, well, we had a really good time on those tours and we got to see these schools and we got to share that experience, and nothing will change the value that we got out of that experience. So that's
Mm-hmm.
not a wash.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, change is scary. And I guarantee, as your child was contemplating this question of, maybe I need a change here, maybe I need to change universities, maybe I need to transfer, I'm sure they had their moments of fear and stress. And then, especially coming to you and sharing this news, again, moments of fear and stress. So, one of the best ways you can help them is, just as Dr. Dan said, instead of immediately jumping in and saying, well, why do you want to transfer? Because I'm sure that's what they are dreading is going to be the first question out of their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise them with,
Yes.
what can I do to help you figure this out?
Nice. Mm-hmm. There
And
you
then
go.
I think from there, pieces fall into place in terms of
Mm-hmm.
figuring things out, and know that there are the resources out there to help you figure this out. And as Dr. Dan said, it is way, way more common now.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a thing now. Yeah, I would
Yes.
say it's kind of a thing now. So
Yes.
there's help out there for parents to
Mm-hmm.
navigate this as well. So
Yes.
don't feel like you have to figure this out. If you've had no experience with it before, figure it out from scratch and write the playbook on how to
Right.
facilitate a college transfer, from the financials to the selection to et cetera. There are resources. So
Yes.
be calm, know that this too shall pass,
Mm-hmm.
as far as the stressful part of it, and it will lend itself to a broader life experience for your child, and
And you.
very and you and you
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. So
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts.
Good thoughts. Openness, interest, and curiosity.
Question number 3. We are a husband and wife and decided that we are one and done on kids. But everyone we know, friends, family, colleagues, keep asking, insisting we need to have another child. The judgments about only child syndrome are harsh and hurtful. Can you help?
Yes. On a number of fronts. Yes, I can. And yes, the judgments are often harsh and hurtful. And I have news because I have looked into this. Many of those judgments are actually false via research. We're going to go
Okay.
through some of them. They're myths, like so many things.
Yeah.
There's all of these myths that are out there, and this is why it's good to have research, because research can help us expand our paradigm on some
Yeah.
of these things. So, here's a myth about only kids: only children are aggressive and bossy. It turns out that's not true for all only kids. Like there's different personalities across all kids, but this doesn't
Right.
show to be true. This is what we always hear. Now, only kids do get more of their parents' attention, and they often do get their parents doing a lot more of adult things with their parents. So often they can come across as more mature than like acting older for their age, just because of their exposure and how they get communicated with. But it doesn't mean that they're aggressive and bossy. Okay, that's one. Two, here's another myth about only children: that all only children have imaginary companions to compensate for their loneliness. That is not true. We do know that imaginary friends and imaginary companions are common for all kids.
Right.
Right? It's common, and they come for different reasons. Sometimes they are because kids are lonely. Other times they just have active imaginations, and it becomes a rich part of their life. And sadly, they all go away over time. They just do. What's the rabbit? The movie?
Oh, gosh.
Jimmy Stewart.
Oh my gosh.
Harvey. Right.
Yes.
Okay. That was more magical. He was a little beyond the age that we would used to think about that. But no, it doesn't mean that only children all have imaginary friends because they're lonely. Here's another one. Only children are spoiled. Well, they can get more attention than families that have a number of kids where parents have to spread their attention. That doesn't equal that they're spoiled. Many different types of kids coming from different kinds of family compositions can be spoiled, and that comes back to parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we handle our kids? And I don't want to blame it all on parenting. Like, we have a child's temperament, and then we have the context and the family environment and the family dynamic.
Right.
It's there's a lot going on there. But so no, it doesn't mean that only children are all spoiled because they're only. And then wait, there's more.
And I gotta say, this is great because I've heard all of the myths.
Yes.
And I'll be honest. I mean, some of them I thought they made sense to me. And so this is a learning opportunity for me right here. So keep it rolling.
Okay. I've got a few more. Another myth: only children are selfish. This goes back to the same kind of myth about bossiness.
Yeah.
And, no, I mean, there are temperaments in kids, but just because you're an only child doesn't mean you're selfish. And we often have to think about the context by which kids are. A lot of only kids have cousins, and a lot of only kids, guess what? They go to school. They're on sports teams. They're in the theater. They're in scouts.
Right.
They're around other people. They are being socialized outside of the home.
Yes.
And I think that's where these myths go sideways. And related, another myth: only children must have their own way. Like, no, that's not true. And remember, everyone, with kids who are young and at certain times during adolescence, this is universal for that age group. I need to have my way, right? I am the center of the universe. Like, people who come from multiple child families still at these developmental ages feel like they are the center of the universe. It can be, it's developmentally appropriate. Of course.
And I was gonna say, and it comes back around again when they're teenagers.
Exactly. It comes back around. And of course, if these are enduring qualities over time, we want to see about how we can help that, either ourselves or with a trained professional guide to help us. But again, a lot of these things are developmentally appropriate. And here's another one, which is an interesting myth: only children are dependent, which is an interesting myth because a lot of the times only children are actually independent, right? Because they just, they're often treated as a little older, and they play up. They often play up, which connects to the last myth, which is only children become too mature too quickly, right? So when you're an only child, again, you are often with your parents a lot. You're often doing a lot of things and being out in the world because you can. It's much easier to take one child with you than 2, 3, or 4.
Right.
And you're often spoken to and develop the more mature, I guess, older adult language earlier, it's thought. than with kids with having multiple siblings. But it's another myth. And you notice like all of these are these negatives. So in the big picture, I would say the research and my experience is that all of those things could be true in particular families of only kids and of multiple sibling families. And at the same time, is that I believe the only child with a thoughtful parenting approach um, will not experience any of those hurtful and punitive things that you're hearing. So I feel we often have, as parents of different family compositions or neurodiverse situations, we often have to stand in the face of like societal expectations and scrutiny and, quite frankly, negativity, and to stand strong in your own path and trust what you feel is right for you and your child is going to be right for you and your child. Because I can also say, okay, have a couple more kids just to dispel the myths and then be really stressed out. That's not good for your kids.
No. And just two of the points you brought up, the dependent versus independent, when viewed through the lens of a parent. So just from my experience of having two children, as a parent, you are not always going to be able to entertain or hang out or just be there for your child at every beck and call. And that would hold true if you had one child, and they might come to you, say, "Oh, let's do this." And you would have to say, "Well, I'm doing this right now. So you need to entertain yourself or figure out X, Y, or Z." Whereas, "Oh, I am busy right now doing X, Y, or Z or making dinner. Go see if your sister will play with you." So you see where I'm going with that is that I'm not saying that multiple children are less independent, but they certainly have more opportunity growing up to not have to be independent. If they have a sibling that is fairly close in age, where they can spend time together, as my girls did growing up, they spent a lot of time together. And then to that end, as far as having, two siblings fairly close in age, within a few years, I noticed that my younger daughter matured much more quickly than my older daughter.
Same.
So it's, again, this is just me emphasizing that a myth is a myth. And
myth is a myth. Yes.
And don't let myths make decisions for you. It's right for you.
Yes. And if anyone listening, okay, I'm sure you might know some only children or only children who are now adults who might have some of these characteristics. So that's fair. Like, this is across the human spectrum. But I also can guarantee that you all know people who are only children who don't exhibit any of these characteristics, right? Like none of them. So trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Yeah, trust yourself. And it's okay if you ask this question believing some of these myths yourself. That not just hearing it from people saying this to you as cautionary tales about only having one child. It's okay if you believe some of these to be true, because just challenge those beliefs. Even if you think it might be true, even if it is true, doesn't mean that it has to be true for you and your child, your only child.
Yes.
So, boom. There you have it.
There you have it.
Okay, question number 4. My daughter took a gap year because of COVID, and now she's suddenly, with 2 weeks away from starting her first college year, she wants to withdraw. Help. This was not our agreement.
That is a tough situation. Empathy from parent to parent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is another thing to lean into. That's going to be a theme, you guys. Just so much of life is we need to embrace what's happening instead of fight it and run away from it or avoid it. And this is your daughter telling you something. So we actually need to find out why. Often it's anxiety. Um, a lot of kids who were sidelined, well, many kids were sidelined socially because of COVID. Many have had trouble returning to their normal social life, even when they were going back to their regular school.
Oh, yeah.
This one is
Yes.
much more intense and layered because you've been taking a year off, and then you're now going to a brand new place to go live on your own. And many kids are not ready for that, right? That's this interesting. I think I've said this before on an episode, I believe, which is before COVID, the stats were that 1 out of 3 college freshmen do not return to the same college or university their sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
Before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah.
there's a number of reasons for that. Everything from depression, anxiety, drugs, internet, perfectionism, overscheduling. I mean, there's so many reasons. The point is, this is a huge transition, and we really want to lean into the process, even though I know you don't have a lot of time, which is what is going on? And do you need to then I would say, do you need to listen? Yeah, yes, you really need to listen. Then what do you do about what you hear? How do you ideally come up with a collaborative plan? I can tell you that forcing a child to school, regardless of age, when they're not ready, usually doesn't go well. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
there is the argument with anxiety that if we can just get someone there with the right supports and they settle into that, that could be that taking care of the anticipatory anxiety and then someone feels comfortable. That is very possible too. So I don't want to count that out, but
Mm-hmm.
you really need to take a thoughtful look about the why. And if it is a mental health issue, can the mental health issue be dealt with there in conjunction to a transition?
Yeah.
Or does it really need to be, okay, now we need to look at something that we haven't really been looking at, or we weren't aware of?
Mm-hmm.
And if there is another deferral, there's deferral with a plan. Like I just met with a client who's in college but is deferring, deferring due to some things that this person is dealing with. And the semester off, we have a whole plan about what's going to take place for growth and for health
Yeah.
for this person to meet their goals when that semester ends. So I just think we need to be really thoughtful about these situations and don't feel the pressure of, and I can tell you, I totally understand this, like, what are people going to think? And what is this going to mean for our child? We have to try to put those on the back burner to really understand what's going on.
Yeah. It may not feel like it, especially since some decisions need to be made lickety split, but also in the same breath, time is also your friend here. So try to look at time as a positive thing in the somewhat bigger picture than where you are immediately. But listening again is going to go a very, very long way to making it an easier situation to manage for both yourself and your child. And as you were talking through this, Dr. Dan, I was wondering that, so they took a year with COVID, and I don't know if that's because their university had shut down or they just felt that was the right choice for them. I do wonder if this anxiety about starting school or whatever is going on was something that was occurring back then, COVID notwithstanding,
Right.
and they just had the escape hatch of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe whatever is going on goes back to then, and that might not be something I wouldn't recommend asking that because you don't want to. You want to be very careful about making your child feel like you are judging them in any way for having these feelings about not being ready. because that's the quickest way that you're going to shut down any way of figuring this out collaboratively.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely don't want to have it be like, well, you were going to school, this is happening.
Yes.
It's always best in these types of scenarios if they're not feeling like they are making the decision themselves, or they are incapable, they can't do this decision on their own, other than the not go decision, arriving together at a decision together, be it, okay, we're going to give this a shot, or we're going to wait 6 months. If you are arriving at this decision together, it's going to feel so much better on both sides, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what this decision is. And so, yes, it is stressful, and you probably feel like the rug has been pulled out from under you. And especially if this is something that just kind of came up, they might have been holding off on sharing because of the fear of how this is going to play out with you as their parent. So it's hard. It's hard to lean into these situations and take a little solace. And this is an opportunity for you to grow as a parent, and for you to really, really show up when it really counts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to, go for a walk and find a quiet corner of the park and scream, do that too.
Right. Yes. Your points are making me think, also add something from a clinical perspective, which is, one question is, how long have you been feeling this way?
Yeah.
And wondering then, is this is some anxiety, worry that's been percolating for some time? Because the other possibility is, if that wasn't going on, it's not uncommon for a little anxiety attack or a little panic episode with the reality of something new. And then the response is, I can't do this. I'm not going, because you're in a panic mode. So it's really trying to understand this process to allow you to have more context. Again, even if you don't have the context, I still recommend everything that we are both talking about.
Yeah.
But that context can actually help with the direction that you go.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And the last thing I'll say is having that context will only make you feel like less panicked in the moment of, how do I address this? Because context equals information, and that knowledge is ultimately the power for you as a parent. So get that context. All right. We are on our final question, which it fits the theme that we began with, saying, wow, time really does go by very rapidly. So for our final question, we parents, husband and wife, are finally empty nesters, and we want to downsize our house. How do we bring this up with our 3 children, all in college or about to graduate college this year? They are not going to be happy.
First of all, congratulations on being at this place. Our own experience, having had a short stint of that, is they often do come back at different phases if there's room. And, the way we've approached this is, we started to have open conversations as things were unfolding, which is, you never know where we're going to want to be. And maybe we want to have we want to find a different place, and maybe we don't need as much space. And we were actually doing that very intentionally, authentically and intentionally, to start the conversation and to hear the reactions of like, wait, what? Wait, we would be moving? Like, we wouldn't have this house? We're like, we don't know what we're going to do. We're just visioning our life, and I think this is one of these interesting things, is where, first of all, stability is wonderful. And I know I've had many friends, know many people who had very stable residences. And I also have many friends whose parents, for their job, moved all over the place, who are very stable individuals from very stable families who had wonderful life experiences. So there is no, there's many ways to do this. I think it's important, parent footprint is about parents focusing on themselves to be the best persons they can be, to be engaged in their life, and to model this health and engagement for their children. So you are modeling that you have a life and are at a phase of life which you've never been before, and you're now looking to what's next. your kids are going to one day be there. Your kids are watching you. And we say, like, for how long should we be doing things in our life just for our kids as opposed to things for ourselves? So I like the idea of starting a conversation about what you guys are thinking for your place in life, because this other thing that seems to have happened over time, or maybe for all time, which I think is hopefully being reversed a little bit, is all the focus and talk is about children transitioning to their different developmental milestones without the awareness or talk about parents or adults. We are always transitioning into some place that we have never been before. And so we talk about that with our kids when they're saying, like, about anything, like, wait, what? Why did you do that? Or why did you say that? Or what are you going to do about this? I often say, you know what? I don't know. I've never done this before. Like, I've never been 53 before. I've never, like, we never imagined that all three of you would be out of the house. Like, we didn't even imagine that was even possible. We didn't even imagine life. We didn't even imagine you before we had you. And then once we've had you, we can't imagine life without you. And now we have this whole other life that we're looking at, that we're trying to figure out what to do next. So I just love the authentic dialogue, allowing for all of the different emotions to come out. But I feel like when our kids see us engage, talking with them, treating them as equals, and like engaging in life together, it's just a different process than, hey kids, we need to have a family conversation. We're selling the family house and we're moving across the country.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Again, open discussion through everyone's stages makes things better. Very infrequently, I would say it makes things worse. Maybe in the moment,
right?
Maybe in one or three of the discussions, it may feel worse. And as Dr. Dan has said several times on this call, you lean in and know that eventually, as we talk through these things, it will get better. And you never know. Your kids may not be as unhappy as you think. Of course, there will be that nostalgic, like, oh wow, the family home. It will always be home. My parents sold the family home going on, gosh, almost 8 years ago, maybe. And myself and my sisters, we grew up in that house. My mother grew up in that house. A lot of history in that house. And was I sad to hear that the house was going to be going? Yes. Was I surprised? Well, no, because I knew that day was eventually going to come, and we hadn't even really discussed it all that much, but it just was something that when I found out about it, it made sense and it didn't surprise me. And I knew I felt sad, and your kids will know they feel sad because, and it might take them a moment to reach that conclusion, but because they did have these wonderful memories at that house. And no matter who is living in that house, they will still have all those wonderful memories. They might not be able to physically go back to that space, but in their mind's eye, they can go back whenever they want. And so there will be the initial, very much like a grieving the loss of the family house, which will then transform into having those memories and being okay with it being the memories. And they'll throw you a housewarming party for your new place, and it will have a happy ending as long as you aren't springing it on them or making it seem like something you were trying to hide from them until the ink was dry.
It's reminding me of a recent experience with a client who did this, is in this process, and it did it in a wonderful way. There's family transitions going on, and people moving, and a college age daughter. And the conversation went something like this: is, hey, we're in transition and we're moving to this other place. And we know the family home is really important to you, and you have a few more years of college left, and we want you to have a place to land. So what we're thinking of doing is actually renting out this place on short-term rentals when we're not here, but having it available to you when you come home from the summer, just because the family has this option to do so. And we're thinking about holding on to the house for a couple more years. What we were told was we'd have to kind of make the house look a little different. And we're wondering how you feel about that. And as long as if you have your room and you can make your room look like how you like it, what do you think? The conversation went like there was a lot of trepidation about this, and it was a really mature conversation. And the young adult was like, yeah, that makes sense. That sounds good. Now, here was an opportunity to have a little runway. And this is where I feel like if you can have any kind of runway, that's why I like any kind of conversation, any prep versus this is what we're doing, it usually goes better because it gives people time to talk and to settle into the reality.
Yeah. Even if your mind is made up, which it does sound like your mind is made up, and that's fine.
And I think it's awesome. Like, congratulations and good for you guys.
Yeah. And I got to say that it was one of those moments when you were talking about as a human being, our developmental journey.
Yeah.
And once you're a parent, you stop thinking that you're still having this developmental journey that is going to last your entire life, and then you have phases and stages.
Totally.
And wow. So embrace it, and share it with your kids, and have it be, you're sharing it with them, but at the end of the day, it's your journey. And this part is about you. And that's great. And that's okay. And your kids love you, and they will be okay with it too.
And it's good for them to see you doing it.
Yes. Wow. I think that's it.
All right. This is good stuff. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
All right. See, hey, listeners, we so appreciate your questions because we grow from them too.
Yes.
We're like all in this. We're all in this together. They're so helpful for all of us. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for these great questions. We read every single one of them. We appreciate you listening to our regular Thursday drop of Parent Footprint with Dr. Dan. Love having you a part of these sitting down sessions. And you know what to do. You can subscribe on the Wondery app to hear all of these bonus episodes and our podcast ad-free. Keep following us on our feed. Keep inviting all of your wonderful friends and family to our amazing community. Do your best to be the person you want your child to become, and ask yourself the guiding question: what footprint do you want to leave? This has been a Peters and Rossi production. Parent Footprint with Dr. Dan is produced by Laura Rossi. Our engineer is Phil Rossi. Theme music is Mountain Spring High, composed and performed by Gabriel Lewis. Artwork is by Garrett Ross. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Parent Footprint Podcast, and on Twitter at Dr. Dan Peters. For more information, go to exactlyrightmedia.com.